Cool. So, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor. And indeed, I think there's a lot of things that we can unpack. There is a lot of different disciplines. So I have prepared some topics, and I'd like it to be interactive. So you can let me know what kind of things interest you more and what kind of things interest you less. There is one kind of like overarching framework that I found really interesting and that actually was suggested to me. So I put together a few slides, but please don't look at the visuals. This was last night. It's very last minute, so it's more of like notes for myself. So don't pay too much attention to that. But indeed, so it should be about Afrovibes and a little bit about myself and my role in Afrovibes. I have these different hats, like I said. My background is in dancing, but I've never studied dance like you do, so I'm jealous of that. I come from Slovakia, and I have been dancing there since I was, I don't know, 7, something like that, and I just never stopped. So, having said that, I also come from a background where dancing wasn't really seen as the career. So, yeah, the old story: parents want you to be the lawyer, and I didn't happen to be a lawyer, but I happened to study marketing, which comes in very handy now, and which comes in also very useful for my dancing and also for supporting other dancers, which is what I do at Afrovibes Festival. So, a couple of things that I wanted to mention here. So we can talk about a duality of the role and the different overlaps that it has. I can tell you a little bit about the personal story, but I wouldn't, well, if you'd like. Question already, yes?
No, sorry, could you maybe make it
bigger? Yeah, I'm on purpose. I'm really trying not to have you focus on that because this is literally like my outline. I shouldn't even be connecting my laptop, but okay. There it is. So I happen to study marketing. I actually studied it here in Amsterdam. I studied it at the FRU. So I did masters in marketing. Then I worked for Booking.com, for Google, and then I still kept dancing. And my soul wasn't really feeling very fulfilled in these big corporations. And then I started looking for overlaps. Okay, I can do some marketing work, but my heart really lies within dancing and working in art. That's where Afrovibes come into place. And so we can talk about how to look for these different overlaps in different disciplines. We can talk about how to find your own path, utilizing all the different skills that you have. There is always this differentiation between being jack of all trades versus master of one, right? And I'm not here to impose my opinion, but I'm going to offer you some perspectives. So I'm pretty sure that you have a wide variety of different skills besides dancing, and then also within your dance that you can go into depth and trying to find overlaps between that and some other disciplines or different dance styles. Last part, well, this was the 3. This is just to kind of illustrate, that's me at Google, and that's me like shooting a movie, well, a music video for, maybe you know Frena and Yemi Alade. This was the music video for that. So, does this sound like it sparks some interest and some things that you might want to dig a little bit deeper in?
Yeah. These topics? Yeah.
Cool. I do want to also make sure that we talk about the marketing of Afrovibes. So the general framework here, you can already see what I've done. I looked at different skill sets, and I looked at how you can leverage them in my case, in marketing and also as a dancer. We can go over this briefly, and please feel free, like if something feels like you want to ask questions or something sparks your interest, let me know. So the first one is research. So as a marketer, and also for Afrovibes very much, marketing research is a big thing. If you want to run an event, run a festival, you need to know who is it for. You need to know the audience. You need to know the people that will be coming to this festival. So there is a lot of research that goes into this. It's called creating your persona. And that's something that very much for you as dancers, if you if you create a performance, you also need to think of, okay, who is going to be actually the viewer of this? What kind of people will be coming? And based on that, you might want to tailor the content of your performance. I mean, again, there's caveats. Maybe you just have something that you really feel strongly that you want to share and you don't care. Some people come, some people don't. Also fine, but doing some research, not only about having a performance, but also the styles that you're interested in. So all of you are doing modern dance, right? No?
Contemporary.
Contemporary, sorry, shit. Any other styles that any of you like or practice or explore?
Yes.
I think there's a lot, yeah.
There's a
Yeah,
lot there.
we're very diverse.
Okay,
It's not
I
just
like that.
contemporary.
Cool.
Street and club styles also are included.
Some house, maybe?
Yeah,
Cool. Some hip hop?
yeah.
Dancehall? African styles?
We did with Patrick Alconi.
I'm sorry?
We did the course with Patrick Alconi.
Nice. In Senegal?
No,
Or?
No, here.
Here. Okay, well, okay.
We wish it wasn't Senegal.
I know that some
Yeah,
people
we
do
would,
exchanges there as well, so that's why I ask. And that's more like African contemporary, right?
Yes.
Cool. Any like azonto kind of things?
Pansula?
Love it. From Pansula to Amapiano? Not much?
Yes.
Yes, okay. The
Yeah.
TikTok challenges. All right. No, I mean, there's much more. This was just a remark. So when I talk about these different styles and about research, that's where it comes into place for me also as a dancer. So I come from Slovakia. I have like zero African blood in my system and no direct connection other than from my soul. I love the dance. I love the music. And I felt conflicted about that because I wanted to dance it, and I was like, hey, but like, is it okay? So that's when I went to do a research about this. So I traveled through different countries in Africa, and I was talking to local dancers about the topic of cultural appreciation versus appropriation of African dances. How does that make them feel? How do we do it respectfully? Yeah, so just an example of, as a dancer, I'm sure that you already do a lot of research. And having some tools for marketing also helps to do it effectively. Cool. Anybody wants to share any of their own research? Okay. The 5 seconds of silence.
Sorry, about
Yeah.
about street and club styles or about dance.
For example, yeah.
Anything you're researching?
Anything you're researching, yeah. And research doesn't have to be like formalized. It can literally mean that you're interested in it and you're watching YouTube videos.
Yeah. But maybe for me it's I didn't grow up with dance, and when I started to dance, I didn't do any type of street and club styles.
Okay.
So it was really new when I came here, and also all the culture linked to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I try to understand more. At least I see my history differently through these dance styles. Like it's opening my gaze. There is not only ballet and contemporary, and also cultural appropriation or the question of privilege or racism. I'm from France, so one of the countries that was colonizing. So I want to understand a bit more how, and also I'm Christian, and faith was also used as a tool of, what do you say?
Oppression.
Yeah. So I want to understand how, why, and so it's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I'm not diving into it super deep now,
Mhm.
because I think I could go really deep. But that's something I'm processing.
Super nice. Would you want to share like some tools or ways or how you're doing it?
So just we had Thomas Presto who came to talk last year,
Yeah.
talking about IT and a concrete example of IT being an area where Christian faith was really put as oh, but it's okay, we bring you good news for you, so if they're raping or this type of bad things, it's okay. So for me it was a big statement when he started to say this, for example. So he told me, if you want to understand more, go to see on the internet just just the story of IT.
Yeah.
Also, maybe I start talking a bit too much, but I'm living with a grandma that is from Burkina Faso.
Uh-huh.
So I learn a lot about Africa. And yeah, it's funny that she grew up in France, so she knows a bit also of my culture, but I don't know anything about Africa completely. So she's talking about, we talk about food, we talk about dance and mentality, princess, and yeah, it's opening my eyes. So she's a library.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Utilize
it's,
that library,
yeah.
definitely. Very cool. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I think that's a really good example, and the networking part that you mentioned, like you're learning from someone that happens to be in your life. We're gonna come to that as well. It's an important part of doing a research and seeing these different ways. Nice. Well, second one, quite obvious, creativity. Maybe for you it might seem like marketing is a boring job behind your computer. Some parts of it are like that, I'm not gonna lie, but a lot of it is actually quite creative, because if you want to make something, you saw the trailer, by the way, what did you think about it? Was it nice?
Yes.
That was the creative part of my job. I really enjoyed that one, yeah? So we knew that the theme of this festival was liquid traces, meaning oceans hold a lot of memories, the slave trips, the attempts for return, but it also connects the continent, it connects the cultures, and then we're like, okay, we need to make a trailer. What's gonna be the theme? What's gonna be the topic? How are we gonna conceptualize this idea? So then, anybody knows tracing, this style of dance when you trace? Okay, stupid question, sorry. So cool. So we wanted to have is liquid traces, right? So let's have someone doing tracing dances. Let's be by the beach, ocean. Yeah, some things might be obvious, but to make it actually all come together, and for people who might not come from your background, that you already have the understanding, but for our customers who we did the research about, it might be more difficult for them to see the connections. So yeah, creativity, big part of the job. Go.
When you say creativity, do you mean you selected the pieces of video that go into it, or you mean literally you edit the video?
Good question. I did the production of it, so it is the ideation part. What is it that we're gonna make? Looking for the right dancer to do this. Having sort of like a storyboard. So what are the different scenes? And then briefing the cameraman, who was also the one who was cutting and editing it. So I didn't do the technical part. I did the production, conceptual part. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think I need to talk about how creativity plays a role in a world of a dancer, right? Expressive routines. Yeah, you want to leave some lasting impression. Storytelling, kind of connected to this. A lot of marketing, it shouldn't be about selling, right? Like obviously the end goal, you want to sell a ticket to a festival, but you also want to create a story. You want people to actually tag along with you. And this is also, later on, we're going to talk about how social media is used, how you can make people part of what you're doing rather than they are, hey, here, buy a ticket. So doing marketing effectively, you really need to create a story from beginning till the end, see how you engage people before, during the festival, and also how to keep the engagement afterwards. Again, storytelling in your dance and expression, conveying a narrative and your emotions through the movement. Something that I personally find a lot of overlaps. It might seem a little bit far-fetched, but yeah, I think it works. Like doing the research and doing a lot of self-reflection about what do I have in my mind and how do I want to communicate it outwards, versus what do I have like on my paper and how do I want to communicate that to my audience. There are some nice cool things to look at their similarities. Event management. Exactly how you mentioned. Obviously, the whole Afrovibes marketing is about event management. It's an event. It's a big one. It's 2 weeks. I'll go into details about the ins and outs of that. But also for dancing, like what was it, 2 weeks ago? I organized a Hustle dance event. Hustle is a partner dance. Comes from also actually very much connected to house dance, disco era in New York in the 70s. And it was a lot of work, like just for one day, if you want to have dancers presenting their work, if you want to have them teach a workshop, if you one day, or probably you're already doing it, want to promote your own performance, it's a lot of these kind of skills that might come as boring at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually can be quite fun. Branding, similar story, of course, you want to be what's the right word, coherent, like you want to find your identity so that people will recognize you under a certain brand. Same for Afrovibes. We've gone through quite some rebranding phase. I'll show you the logo. So we had a change of logo 2 years ago, and now it's called actually Afrovibes Foundation, not only Afrovibes Festival, because we are trying to do more events and happenings throughout the year, not only the festival. Deep listening, understand the feedback and preferences of the audience. This is, for example, after each performance, if any of you went to some of the shows, every time you leave the room, there's going to be some of our volunteers throwing the paper in your hands so that we can get your feedback. Now, having a paper is not the most effective way because, yeah, then somebody has to take all the papers and put them into some sort of system and make an analysis. But it's also the most effective one because we've also experimented with this a little bit, and if you just give people a QR code or you send them an email afterwards and ask them, hi, how did you find it? Very few people will find the time to actually fill it in. So when you have them right there, get it done. Same for dancing again. Internalizing the music, synchronize the movements, express effectively. Last one, self-reflection. I touched upon this a little bit already. Evaluate effectiveness of the strategies, similar to the deep listening, to be honest. And for dancing, assessing the performance, striving for artistic growth and excellence. Any of these resonates? Interesting, boring? To be honest, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alright. Any of these things that you, might find some examples in your own life. And it doesn't have to be with marketing. Any other head that you feel like, is there any type of skills, one of these or any other, that you see that, okay, this is actually something that I might use elsewhere?
Yes.
Dare to share?
I mean, actually quite a few of us here are currently involved in organizing and creating a platform, and we have an event in 3 weeks here in school. So I think
Awesome.
a lot of that actually is quite relatable right now.
Nice. That's good to hear. Yeah.
Is it okay to take a picture? Or?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can you send it, Andrew, in the...
Sure, like this literally was last night, midnight. There's probably typos and stuff, but
Quality camera.
cool. Shall we move on, or you want to dive a little bit into any of this?
I just have sorry, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Like I never thought of branding as a skill, so it's interesting for me. So what does it entail?
Yeah, branding yourself, like
Like,
it's
what does
quite a thing, I would say, both for branding a company like Afrovibes, but also, so my dance artistic name would be Ivy Flow, where I had to create a logo, I had to find the colors that I resonate with. Branding yourself, even the way that you speak of yourself, like there is a certain, how would I say that? Technically, you are branding yourself at all times. Like in any conversation, there's an impression that we're leaving. And it's similar with companies, like there's an impression we're leaving with the activities, but also with the online presence. So I think maybe there is the offline branding, of course, but in this case, I was referring more to the presence online. So branding, how does your Instagram feed look like? That's big time branding.
Yeah, but I'm still trying to find, so how would you describe it? Like, so branding as a skill is, it's the skill of, because for me it's super interesting, but I'm just like, so how do we describe it? But if it's not interesting for you, it's fine.
No, it is. It's also interesting for me to think about, like, if I would think of an example, so branding as a skill, if say I come up with a plan of how I want to be perceived as a dancer. Do I want to be the authentic, a little bit introverted, super artistic, maybe a little bit experimental one? Or do I want to be this like really staccato, overconfident, this is how you should do it, making tutorials and having this sort of like thought leadership mindset? That would be for me like two types of brands that some dancers can adopt. And there's many more. Does this come a little closer to that? So the skill of like having a plan of how you want to be perceived, and then what are the steps that I can do to actually get there.
Yeah, seeing yourself from the outside and creating a coherent story and seeing how you can achieve that through which tools.
Exactly, and this in marketing would be called positioning. So if you want to put yourself outside of your own self and see how you want to be perceived from the outside, that's called the positioning. So and that's very much about branding. Yeah.
I'm just curious about when you brand yourself, do you also sometimes feel like somehow you're limiting yourself as well? Or is, I don't know, how do you see it, you normally?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, and it's a question that I can relate to very much because of the variety of things that I do. So, and at the same time, I don't want to have 5 different brands. But I am sometimes the marketer of Afrovibes. Sometimes I teach hustle classes, which is a partner dance. Sometimes I teach Afro classes, which this whole my research is about it, where I'm still researching if it's okay. And then I do my movement coaching, which is outside of dancing, just mechanics of the body. What can you do? Different degrees of freedom, joints, levels, things like that. So in a way, I have 5 brands, but it's still me. So can it be limiting? I think it can be done smartly in a way that people will understand. And that comes also again with the branding. And storytelling. If you tell the story in a way that people understand your whys, why is it that you're interested in so many different things and where do you see the overlaps, then you might find people who are exactly like you and they relate to that. So it can be limiting if you let it. And that's very much where I want to go with this whole story, because I do think that if we remove those limits and if we let the art and the truth and how we feel about things just come out without thinking like, yes, positioning is one thing, how do people perceive me, but then there is this fine line between they perceive me this way and then, or this is how I want to be perceived, and then there is, this is how I feel, and then I don't care how it's perceived. And there's always this line in between that we can toggle left and right and see what feels okay, if that answers the question.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Just to go shortly back to Instagram feed, considering the fact how algorithm works these days, I've heard from many different people saying that how your feed looks like, and now I'm talking more when it comes to presenting yourself as a dancer, not an event or a project, that it matters more that you're posting a lot, that there is quantity, and that it doesn't matter anymore that if someone goes to your profile and that sees an aesthetically pleasing screen in front of themselves.
Well, when was this research published, or how long ago was this?
No, I've never said it was a research.
Okay.
I said I've heard it from many different people, and I had quite a long phase of limiting myself with posting because I wanted to first make a plan of how I'm going to do it so that my feed looks well. And then at the same time, I see people growing on Instagram who are just posting. So yeah, that's just my question from a
Yeah, good
research
question.
perspective or a professional one.
Yeah. No, I mean, social media marketing is a whole thing. There's all kinds of, like, there's this war between the algorithm and then all the marketers trying to figure out what the algorithm is, and then the algorithm changing and this and that. The most recent thing that I've heard and read is that it actually is more effective to take your time to create really high quality content and
Mhm.
post it less.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually seen it also on my own and also on Afrovibes Instagram. There are posts that are generating views and likes a year after they've been posted. Because somebody will then catch it again, and then it's again amazing and appealing, so that it creates like a wave, another wave of traction. So my personal humble opinion would be that higher quality content less frequently is more effective than posting everything. All that's what your stories are about.
Mm-hmm.
Just throughout your day, what is it? Finding the line between your personal versus your professional, that's a whole different topic, of course, but yeah, I would say that
Thank you.
quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Should I move on? Or? Yeah.
You said about the personal and the professional, you mean for your own Instagram account or for because Afrovibes is able to? Okay.
Yeah, no, Afrovibes obviously is the organization, but for you as a dancer or for myself, yeah, I think it's quite a journey and a learning process to see where you draw the line. People always are interested in your personal stuff. Then how do you let it really invade your days? I think what happened a lot with a lot of dancers and what I see is that it starts as a personal account, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, and then as you grow as a person and as a professional, you want to make it your professional account. So that also takes a little bit of a different approach. And then we can talk about the planning and how to plan different posts and how to create a template and how to, yeah, have a little bit of structure rather than posting random daily stuff in your timeline. That's what you mean. But for Afrovibes, different story. That's very much like boxed, structured. This is what we're gonna do. This is the theme this year. This is how it's gonna look. Maybe that's a good bridge to go into that. Yeah.
What is your strategy?
In Afrovibes.
No, for your personal account.
What is my strategy? Lately, I've actually been trying to post less and only things that are related to what I was focused on at that moment. So just to make this a little bit more, yeah, sensible. I've been doing a lot of movement research now as well, so just those things like finding the flow work, finding the levels of freedom. So my posts would be mostly focused on that. But then, for example, if there's an event for Hustle, and I have a separate page for Hustle Dance, because that's also where I don't want to be associated. Of course, it's my brand, but I don't want it to be associated with my face. Like, I want everybody in the Netherlands to hustle, right? And somebody maybe doesn't like me, I don't know. So it should be something that is separate completely. So that's part of the strategy, to find also different gateways. And then for the personal one, yeah, I think Instagram is something that's very hard to monetize. It's good for building your thought leadership, for people to respect you. But eventually the goal would be to bring people from there to your own platform. And that can be your website, that can be your app, that can be the website of the theater performance that you're gonna do. If you want people to take some sort of action, you might want to use Instagram in your stories to put a link and bring people to a platform that you own, because Instagram owns all your content, but you have actually little power over that. Yeah.